can't get it.
But you see how much kidnappers are picking for victims.
My thing is, problem with the, I think all these people guys we are get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed. And once you get the support, your airline will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Bode Badebo. Welcome to Tuesday edition of Inside Nigeria here at the Leadership Television. With me in the studio this morning is our regular guest analyst, Atekojo Samson Usman, who is a journalist, lawyer, and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Usman.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure having me once again.
Thank you. It's also important to tell viewers that Mr. Atekojo works for the Daily Post newspaper. Well, without much ado, we'll start today's program with analysis of the lead stories on some national dailies before discussion of a trending story of the day. And without wasting time, let's start as usual with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, NDLEA indicts Abba Kyari for other cops of drug trafficking. NDLEA indicts Abba Kyari for other cops of drug trafficking. Suspects arrested. This great super cop is a member of transnational drug cartel. We have evidence to jail him, according to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. Mr. Osman, this is one story too many yesterday, like the Yorubas will say, when you are still trying to get rid of something and something else is happening, in a similar nature. Abba Kyari, before now, is under investigation and nothing has been done about him. Just from the blues again, the NDLEA declared him wanted. After attempts to talk to him, they invited him, I think, on 2 occasions. They didn't honor the invitation, and they were forced to declare him wanted. Now, let me ask you, what do you make of this story? A Nigerian super cop indicted for drug trafficking.
But first and foremost, I must commend the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, because for the past very 1 year now, that Brigadier General Buba Marwa became the chairman and the chief executive officer. He has put life into that agency. Yeah. Surprisingly, I didn't know that such agency can be so active, given that government agencies are not too vibrant in what they do for one reason or the other. But in the last 1 year, I think I must commend the man. And the issue of Abba Kyari is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. You see, within the ambit of his responsibility as a police officer, he was doing fantastically well until he fell into one issue or the other that led to that is a suspension, which was still ongoing. You remember the case he has with that internet fraudster, Hushpuppi, involving $1.1 million, and he was indicted. And again, the United States of America, declared him wanted and later requested for his extradition. A process that the government was still going about it until we had this very compulsive story about him yesterday, that he was declared wanted, and before we could see Jack Robinson, he was grabbed the way he also used to grab others. So as we speak, he's in the custody of NDLEA. Yeah. As the hunter became the hunted. Yeah. You see, and it's very sad. Given the nature of drug trafficking, getting himself involved in cartels, And you discover that may not be the first time that he has done this thing. Or they say there's a cartel that operates between Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Brazil. And the NDLA were so smart, because I took time to go through the report, so smart that when he became interested in the particular cocaine, that he wanted to just get away from their stock, So they now start monitoring. That tells you how effective this was. To the extent that when he was everything he was doing, negotiating, when he traveled to Lagos and was making a WhatsApp call and other things, they recorded everything. And when he wanted to send somebody, they say no, that he's him. They recorded everything. And because when he now came, they had a good time to discuss in a restaurant. And the vehicle that was used was mounted with cameras and other things.
Yeah.
If it is a court now, by the time it's taken to court, these are prima facie evidence that will be tendered before the court. So definitely, it's a sad story, and it tells you how rotten our security system is. This is not the first time I used to tell you that if you see crime
beyond the police, all of them cutting across all security agencies.
Exactly. See, if you see crime being perpetuated at that highest level, security conspiracy is inherent in it. There's no doubt about it. And security agencies are trained to unveil, are trained to investigate, are trained to be able to discover certain entities. But if they are the one now committing this, it becomes very, very difficult. As time goes on, you are going to see a lot of things going on. A lot of things. So many Abakaris are still there. And beyond the Abakari that we're talking about, you discover that by the time he opened his mouth to, when he is subjected to thorough investigation, so many officers in the Nigerian police, I assure you, are going to be indicted. They are going to be indicted. And these are not just corporals. They are going to be top police
at the highest level.
Hierarchy.
That's true.
So
Unfortunate, honestly, very, very unfortunate. A sad commentary on the Nigerian police, even Nigeria as a nation, because the rest of the world is listening.
Exactly.
Just about, I think, less than 30 minutes after that story broke, I saw it on the BBC.
Exactly. No,
yeah, I think that's not too good for our image as well. Okay, let's quickly go to the next newspaper on our menu this morning. We still come back to our Bakari story later in the course of the discussion. Let's go to our sister publication, the National Economy. And on the front page of the National Economy this morning, health expenditure to rise as federal government floats free healthcare services. Health expenditure to rise as federal government floats free healthcare services. May borrow more to fund new scheme for poor Nigerians. What? Health expenditure to rise. How much are we even talking about at the present? Talk more of having an increased expenditure just because the federal government has mooted an idea to have a free healthcare services for Nigerians at the local level. You must have gone through this story. What do you make of the story, Mr. Tekoji?
Yeah, you see, I went through this story this morning, and I like how detailed this particular report is. And my submission on this is that this is a late hour health policy. And this policy is tied to a particular individual who now wants to get his own part of the bargain before the exit of this administration. In the last 7 years, Nigeria had no opportunity for free health care. But at the dying time, they are coming to package this kind of thing for Nigerians. What are we talking?
Well, is it not a desirable policy? It's not something we need, at least to achieve the universal health coverage.
Yeah. Okay. How effective has been that universal health coverage in the past?
It's almost zero. No?
Good. So
this is one step to actually achieve it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you look at the budget, I think we just saw 840 billion
was proposed. But I think the National Assembly has passed a little over 700 billion.
4.20% of the entire budget, right? I mean,
that's a far cry.
That's a far cry. So that was it. We are not yet there. And you discover that if it becomes active and the government is exiting, it goes with the initiator, the person behind it. That's what we're talking about. So it's not something we should celebrate about it. I don't see anything for Nigerians to celebrate about it. Good as it is, but it's late
But they say it's better late
than never. Now, do they really have the statistics of how this thing is going to be mainstream? Because it's meant for the grassroots person.
Exactly.
For what I read.
And there's no data.
Is there any data? That is what we're talking about. So by the time the implementation begins and the resources start going down drain, we will not be able to track it because there's no data.
Yeah. It is rather too unfortunate. But very, very, ordinarily this should be a welcome development.
Yes.
Health expenditure to rise as federal government floats free healthcare services. But with the salient points you raised, I think it called for caution.
That's it.
Yeah, it's called for caution.
And people are not so enlightened enough at the grassroots level to be able to generate feedback that look, all this is they're talking about, we are not seeing anything.
Yeah.
No, nothing. No, nobody cares, my brother. Nobody cares.
All right. I hope somebody will hear something for our national development. We need to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning, February 15, 2022. And of course, I still have you in the studio, Atekojo Samson Osman, journalist, lawyer, and public affairs analyst. Now we'll go to the next newspaper on our menu this morning. THISDAY newspaper, and of course, on the front page of THISDAY, wanted Super Cop Abba Kyari, 4 others in NDLEA custody over drug dealing. Wanted Super Cop Abba Kyari, 4 others in NDLEA custody over drug dealing. Police say interim investigation established strong ties between drug couriers and NDLEA officers. Want drug law agency officers to investigate indicted officers. Well, this is this on THISDAY. You can see a new dimension. Now, police are also saying, well, our officers are in a way guilty, but also your own people are also doing the same thing. But joining us now to actually shed more light on this is Mr. Suraju Olanrewaju, the Chairman, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Header, and Adejuma Kabir, Assistant Investigation Editor, Human Angle Media. Good morning, Mr. Olanrewaju. All right, I can see Kabir. Good morning, Adejuma.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. How is the morning going?
Very well, sir. Very well, sir.
All right, I know you've been following what we started earlier. Now, as a journalist, let me ask you, Adejuma, because you wrote something yesterday I saw very interesting. Now, talking about public confidence in policing, and that what has happened yesterday about Abba Kyari shows a gap. So, tell me, what kind of gap are we talking about?
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, I'm glad to be here. Interestingly, it's sad that we are just in a country where rule of law is not respected. And the reason why I'm saying this is that long before now, Abba Kyari was busted for his involvement with illegal criminality with the popular fraudster, Hush Puppy, and it was pronounced suspended. And I expect that in a country where law and order is in place, by now, Abba Kyari should not have opportunity, should not even have access to his team. But you then realize that we're in a country where we run a slow, dying, and unproductive balance check. And that is why you realize many months ago, in August, I remember, it was pronounced suspended. And just last week, you see Abba Kyari still involved in all forms of irregularities. What that tells is that we're in a nation where rule of law is not respected. Now, the IGP said, they've set up what's it called, a committee to look at his irregularities. And if there's a committee to look at his irregularities, one would expect that by now, his criminal activity was made known to the public. Ordinarily, the outcome of the committee reports should be made known to the public. But because we have some persons who are trying to shield all forms of irregularity, Abba Kyari's case was not there. But we are even suspicious. And the suspicion is this. What if what they are even doing, because this is a country where everything will happen, what if they are trying not to even
Hello, Kabir.
extradite him? What if this is another power play that we don't want him extradited, and because of that we need to ensure that we finish this particular matter before so a whole lot of things are wrong, because I'm surprised that a man who is on suspension was still carrying out arrests. A man who was on suspension still had access to his team. And they still go on assignment. It's just a mere paper thing. In reality itself, Abba Kyari still works as the head of the intelligence unit of the... And the question this raises is this. If a man who is supposed to take charge of the security intelligence of the country is a match in this country, the big question we may need to ask ourselves is this. Are we so sure that he had not even in the past arrested a whole lot of people who were involved in corruption, and at the end of the day, he let them go? Because let's not forget that before now, Abba Kyari had long he has a long history of allegation. At some point, somebody said he collected money from, if you read our report yesterday, we highlighted a woman who told the Lagos State Judicial Panel, how Abba Kyari's team, killed his her husband. Till today, nobody is investigating the matter. People have come to say he has a whole lot of atrocities in the country, while carrying out his activities, but nobody cares. We gave him unnecessary power because we felt like, yes, police is one of the most corrupt institutions because you have one. And let's not forget, this also tells much about the lawmakers, the kind of government we run. If President himself could give Abba Kyari accolades, various could carry worthy. If various organization could consider Abba Kyari worthy of an award, does it really mean we don't really do our findings to know the kind of person we are dealing with? Does it really mean we don't even try to make findings on the kind of character we employ? So the accountability in the police sector, it shows huge gap why people cannot trust the police and why some people will consider to be upright. That in the essence of it, or if you check, they don't really, maybe they need some external check to know. And that's just my take. It's so sad that this is happening to one of, more or less like a super cop turning to a super criminal. And this is just growing up. I'm aware that there are a lot of things that will be unfolded. And if you read our report, that was said growing scandals. We never said, oh, it's done. Because we are aware that many more may still come at the end of this.
All right, Adejuma, that was a wonderful take. And I want to agree with you that I think lack of accountability actually led us to where we are today. Because if the first accusation against him by the Federal Bureau of Investigation was handled properly by the Nigerian authorities, the police, Abba Kyari will not have gotten another space to commit the latest one. Now, Kabir, you talk about president and other institutions. I remember the House of Representatives invited him, gave him a standing ovation and praised him. So, having realized the kind of person he is, do we now advise these personalities and public institutions to actually withdraw? For the record, the laurels and accolades are given to him.
Sorry, can you please come again, please, sir?
All right. I said you spoke about the president giving him accolades and the rest of them, and I said I also remember at a point the House of Representatives invited him to a plenary and gave him a standing ovation, praised him. He also got awards from other, quarters. Now, do we now say the right thing to do, or do we advise these public figures and institutions to withdraw the accolade and laurel given to him, at least for the record?
You agree that there was a time that what's the name? I think a journalist was said to have won an award so many years. That's the most sincere thing to be done if we really want people to trust the police. That's the first way to start, to say, okay, man, if somebody that means he does not really warrant he didn't warrant what he got in the first instance. So the first step for accountability is for the withdrawal of all of those accolades, all of those awards, and let's know that and after that we can now talk about the prosecution, appropriate prosecution. And because I think another thing we need to now discuss is that there's need for us to then stop all of this indoor trial of security personnel where they just have to conduct kangaroo this thing for them and say, oh, they are trying to. No. I think it has gone beyond that. Let's do it in the open. Let the public know what is happening. If it needs to be arraigned, let him be arraigned. And let people watch, and as things goes on, not that some people will sit down somewhere and then tell us this is the outcome of their. So the first step is to first withdraw all of those accolades and to investigate most of those matters that they are handling in the past. I think there's really need for that.
All right, stay with me. I'll come back to you. Let me go to our second guest, Mr. Olariwaju Suraju of EDA, Human and Environmental Agenda. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, my brother. How are you today?
I'm fine, Mr. Olariwaju. Thank you for joining us this morning. I don't know if you have been following our discussion before you connected with us. Let me quickly ask you the Abba Kyari story. What do you make of the latest development?
Well, what is made out of this, and I think it is a clarion call for Nigeria as a country, for the government and also the leadership as a people. We need to hold accountable our public office holder, not just politicians, and that is important for us to also work with some of the things that happen with our civil servants. What Abba Kyari already evolved is what we all know about majority of the officers in the police force. It is so sad that we have this one that is becoming like an international embarrassment. And it would be an opportunity for the overhaul of the whole police architecture. It is not just about now praising and then also or possibly condemning an individual. This is actually a major national and international embarrassment that goes beyond Abba Kyari, going by the profile he had built for himself as that so-called super cop, number one. Number two, in the state of where he's even under investigation for a different crime. This is someone that has been suspended from office or operation. This is a unit under the police that has a completely different head, from Abba Kyari. It's obvious that the IRT is not different from a typical criminal gang, where the allegiance is not actually to the country, because there's a whole lot of criminals around. So it's very easy for there to be conspiracy and also connivance between the law enforcement officers and some of these characters. So you can imagine how the substance and also the drug was actually switched for the dummy. And this is how innocent citizens are framed by the police officers and also charged to court. And that is responsible for what we call our current, high rate of awaiting trial inmates in court, where people are just railroaded into court for trial, and there are no evidence to substantiate the offenses or the allegations against them. So this is actually not just only about Abba Kyari. This is about us as a people, and this is about our country, and this is about the police force. And I think that between the Minister of the Police Affairs, the President, the Inspector General of Police, and also the Police Council that has all the governors as members, will take advantage of this as an opportunity to actually have a retreat on the kind of police force that the country deserves, and the kind of police force and officers that we currently have, and how to reposition them. Otherwise, it is not just about Abba Kyari.
All right, Mr. Suraj, Kabir earlier talked about lack of accountability in the police. And I believe what he said is not about the police also, like you said, it's about all the security agency or even the whole gamut of the Nigerian society. Now, your organization, HEDA, promotes accountability. Now, give us your take as to the investigation of Kyari. Has this been handled, the way it's supposed to be properly, or there are gaps? And what are the gaps?
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the issue of accountability, I think that is a very serious issue. Unfortunately, it's never been taken serious by the appropriate authority. For people to give account of their stewardship, it has to be where you have credible people that will take the account, evaluate the account, and be sure that you are giving a proper account. So it is not just sufficient to say, give account. People can give account of what actually never happened. People can misrepresent what happened and then also claim for it to have been the situation. And people can also, like I said, frame innocent people and give account of them as criminals, where criminals will be allowed to actually run freely within the system. The investigation of Abba Kyari with his involvement with some of the so-called cyber criminals, it is obviously clear that that person could not have been, the real super cop or the crime fighter that he was assigned to have actually also taken responsibility for. You can only roll with criminals if you're using them for access to other bigger criminals, or you're trying to get sufficient evidence against them for the purpose of, arrest and prosecution. You can be friend to criminals, like it was established that, Abba Kyari was even assisting Osh Poppy to sew clothes, and this guy was also blatantly irresponsible to the point of coming in public domain, sharing the same clothes, uniform, and all the rest with people that are of not known or credible source of wealth. That would tell you, I mean, the essence of the whole thing, like we're talking about accountability, is that for you to question, where did Abba Kyari and some of his boys got the wealth that they also openly display. Abba Kyari owns a street in his state of origin. He had houses that could equally pass for, mansion in the state. And these wealth that are outside his legitimate earnings. So the part of a thing with about accountability for public office holders and civil servants, and I think this is where we need to start it from. Seriously, every public office holder. I'm not just talking about politicians now. I'm talking about including civil servants that are found to be living above their legitimate earnings. Is actually suspected to have been either been a criminal or a thief. And I'm not just talking about thieves who are, stealing with the guns and knives. I'm also talking about thieves who are stealing with their pens, like Fela would sing. So accountability must start from our style of life. And the whole investigation process that has just been mentioned by you, it is also very important that the Office of the Inspector General would also take responsibility for what has just happened. There should have been no way that Abba Kyari, under investigation and suspension, should still have that influence within the force. Number one, it also shows that he's been living a larger than life status within that IRT and the police force. And the failure of also the police force to have concluded the investigation, you would understand or you remember about some of the misunderstanding that has been between the Police Service Commission and the police force, which unfortunately portends an attempt by the police force to shield Abba Kyari, and why the Police Service Commission was trying to uphold the integrity of the police force. Unfortunately, but the police hierarchy, and as a force, doesn't see the need for that and doesn't understand the implication of the actions and also activities of Abba Kyari in connection with the cyber criminals as an indictment of the police force, which would have necessitated not only just investigation of Abba Kyari, but also those who are connected with him, to see some of those who have been working as fronts for him and some of those who are his associates.
All right, Mr. Alariwaju, thank you for that take. Now, Kabir, let me come back to Kabir Adejuma, Assistant Investigation Editor with Human Angle. Now, Kabir, in this circumstance, it appears that both the police leadership and maybe some other external forces are trying to shield Kyari. Probably that was why he was able to have access to police paraphernalia to actually go and commit the latest, alleged crime he had committed. Now, who do you think should wield the big stick in the circumstance? The IG apparently is not willing to do anything serious. The Police Service Commission appears to be incapacitated. So who do you think should wield the big stick to save the situation? Hello, Kabir.
Hello, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, the network here, I could not really get your question.
Okay, I asked. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Now, in the circumstance that President cannot be interested in actually to the root of the Abakari matter, in the first instance, the hush puppy case, and that was why the investigation has been foot dragging. The Police Service Commission appears to be incapacitated. Now, who do you think should wield the big stick in the circumstance to save the situation?
That's just it. He's the commander-in-chief. He knows everything that is happening in the country. We have lawmakers. We have the people who are in government. I mean, if the people, the problem we have with the Police Service Commission and all of these things is that many a time when they want to appoint the leadership, they have to appoint people who are, former, retired police officers and thereabouts. So they know their boys, and most times they don't really want to take necessary action. I think the best thing is to hold authority to account. Who are the authority? The police, the executive arm, the oversee the affair of all of these guys. So I think President Muhammadu Buhari should save this country from international embarrassments, and then say, okay, fine. I mean, if the president should give ultimatum and say, oh, this matter is lingering, and our reputation in the international world is at stake. Do this. I think that should be done. You just need a serious leader to say, okay, this is an action. I mean, not just the anti-corruption crusade. Boju that they do to us. And no, beyond that, there needs for somebody to stand tall and say, this is what we need to do to make this country, to put this country in place.
All right, Mr. Osman, how comfortable are you with the silence on the part of the presidency in the last 24 hours when this news broke out?
No, I don't.
Even though, sorry, that these are reports by a newspaper that it was actually the presidency that asked the IG to effect the arrest of Kyari. But are you comfortable with the silence on the part of the presidency, given the fact that Kabir just said the president and commander-in-chief supposed to move in and save the situation?
No. You see, I want us to take cognizance of institutions that are involved in coordinating their own mandates. For instance, we have the NDLEA, we have the Nigeria Police. If an officer of the Nigeria Police is indicted in the estimation of NDLEA, the conversation should be between the NDLEA and the police.
But it appears the police is not interested in exposing its own.
I
remember just yesterday, they also pointed at African singers at the NDLEA.
Yeah. You see, why are they coming with that accusation now? Where have they been? Because that's what we are. That's what we're saying. You see, within the police structure, there are a lot of things that are happening that are bringing the whole institution to an ignoble level. Why do you have officers operating and you don't have your own in-house mechanism to check their activities and their conduct? If Abba Kyari is found wanting within the police and they are able to tackle it, it won't go this bad.
Exactly, but they were unable to do it.
They were unable to do it.
He had the temerity to go outside the institution, to go to another service to commit a similar thing.
Exactly. So when another institution now indicted their own member, they are now firing back that they could investigate. All this one, where have they been? How did they know that the NDLEA officers were indicted?
Anyway, you come back to my question. That's why I said, since the police is unable to rein in Kyari, who should save the situation?
Yeah. So, and again, the presidency prevailing on the IG to release Abba Kyari, that communication is not even supposed to be there in the first place. The police on their own were supposed to hand over Abba Kyari immediately. The NDLEA communicated to them. Look, you are indicted by the NDLEA. We are handing you over to them. Go and face their investigation, so that whatever the NDLEA concludes and they revert back to the police will refer that to Nigerian and to Police Service Commission, because the Police Service Commission has the administrative mechanism to discipline, to fire higher.
Okay.
Have you forgotten that?
Exactly. And they are actually empowered by the Constitution.
By the Constitution to do that.
Exactly. Now let me go back to Mr. Suraj. Olariwaju, Mr. Suraj, you had my question, so let me have your take. Who should save the situation? Because it appears the police IG is interested, the police service commission is incapacitated. And I agree with Abiru Adejumo, who said the president, who is the commander-in-chief, should move in and save the country from embarrassment. So let me have your take on that.
I have mentioned that earlier, and I've said I listed them. There's the Minister of Police Affairs. There is the Inspector General of Police. There's the Police Service Commission, and then there's the Police Council. That is also now with the president. All of them are actually indicted in this case. All of them are on the spot now. All of them are on the hot seat. So let's not just talk about Abba Kyari. All these that I've listed have responsibility over the police as a force, the administration of the police, the sanction of the police officers that are found in this case, and also the appointment of the leadership of the police. So if you have this rot, every of those individuals, authorities, ministries, and agencies are under very serious indictment of failure in their fiduciary duty. And it is not just sentimental. These are statutory and constitutional duties that they are failing in their responsibilities. So they are all on the spot. They are responsible for saving the situation. And they stand indicted if the police force can produce such a brazen character who, even while under investigation for such an atrocious act of money exchange with the last person, is now undermining, other agencies. It tells you how far this guy has gone in the entrenched, underground criminals that are disguising in the law enforcement agencies. So it's gone beyond the police. It is heavily, totally compromising the police force. So it's gone even to the NDLA. So it means it can also go as far as to the presidency if there are cases or issues to do that. So all of those that I've just listed must show now and not later to any time. Now and immediately now must show that they have justification for remaining in office. The police council, including the governors, must also show that they are worthy of their offices. The police service commission must also rise above sentiment or even the blackmail or whatever it is that has been impeding them from standing up to deal with this case and several other cases that are involving senior police officers with immediate effect. The Inspector General must also come out clean to show that it's not in any way culpable in what is happening because the next thing you are likely to start also having, and possibly will be investigated, will be the involvement of the Inspector General in some of the atrocities that are committed by also Abba Kyari. And it is not going to be sufficient to just sacrifice Abba Kyari. It has to be a systemic issue. It has to be an institutional reform for that. And the police, Minister of Police Affairs must also show that there is a justification for the creation of that ministry. Otherwise, then the ministry should just be scrapped. I can't point out as a particular effect of the Ministry of Police Affairs up until now, because nothing has changed in terms of the affairs and administration of the police, other than we have a minister who is also paid a salary and is a cabinet member. And that is not a justification for the creation of that ministry or even the retainership of that ministry.
I think I also agree with that last point you just made, that there may not be need for the Ministry of Police Affairs, given Police Service Commission, Police Council, all of them are in place. Many thanks to you, Mr. Suraj Olariwaju, Chairman, Environmental and Human Development Agenda Header. Thank you for creating time to join us this morning.
Thank you for having
me. And of course, Adejuma Kabiru, Assistant Investigation Editor, Human Angle Media. Thank you for joining us this morning on Inside Nigeria. Thank you, my brother. We hope to see you some other day. And to you, our studio guest analyst, many thanks to you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we also hope to see you when the need arrives. And that has been all today on Inside Nigeria. My name remains Bode Gbadebo. Make a day with us tomorrow for the midweek edition of Inside Nigeria. From here, it's bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.